we just finished talking about compound interest, and I think showing the math is really helpful, and showing the details of how to calculate the accrued amount for investing based on compound interest. I think that's great. But what if someone is sitting in a meeting with their banker and they don't have a calculator in front of them, and they're just trying to figure out different scenarios of how much their money is going to grow over a certain amount of time? Instead of relying on calculations, is there a quick way to figure that out? Is there a shortcut? Is there a heuristic?
Yeah, there is. So there's something called the rule of 72. And so the rule of 72 is a useful calculation. It's really quick, something that you can just kind of do in your head. And it will basically tell you, if you know the percent interest, you can calculate a time that it'll take for your money to double.
Okay.
And so it's kind of reliable just for that calculation.
Okay.
So I'll do an example. So let's say we're talking about 6% interest, kind of like staying in line with what we were doing before. So all you do is you take 72 and you divide that by the percent interest that we're talking about. So in this case, 6%. And what you'll get is a time frame for that money to double. So in this case, we're talking about 6% interest per year. 72 divided by 6 gives us 12 years. It'll take our money to double. And it doesn't really matter what principal we're talking about. It can be any size principal, but it'll take roughly 12 years for that principal to double in value.
That's great. So just to highlight something important here, the number 6 here, that is the rate of interest expressed as a percentage, right? Earlier when we were doing our calculations, the rate of interest was expressed as a proportion. So here it's a percentage. We divide 72 by that percentage. We get a number, which is the number of years that it takes for your investment to double. So if anybody is interested in figuring out where this rule comes from, just think about the formula for compound interest again. It's A is equal to P times 1 plus R over N to the power of NT. Now, we're just going to assume that it's compounding once per year. So suppose that we're starting with $10,000. Then doubling that, we're going to get $20,000. We're going to multiply this by 1 plus 0.06 divided by 1 to the power of 1 times t. So our objective here is to solve for t, to figure out the length of time that it takes for the 10,000 to double to 20,000. And if you work out the math, this is all just going to end up being log of 2 divided by log of 1 plus 0.06. And that is, if you just try to work this out, it will be roughly equal to 72 divided by 6. Okay? And that is equal to 12. So, in general, I'm just going to erase this here. In general, if you compute log 2 divided by log of 1 plus some proportion r, and if you compute that for various values of r, you'll notice that it is that the trend will be roughly equal to 72 divided by r. Okay, and I encourage everybody to do that at home. Just try that out for a few different values of r to convince yourself that this is what you end up with, roughly speaking. Okay.